So I'm having a chat with Tom. Bailey, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks, Jim. Where are you? I can see a guitar hanging in the background there. It looks like you're in a music den of some sort.
It's a corner of our living room, which is my office. I spend most of my time sat here, so yeah, I've kind of decorated the background just to make it a bit more studio-like.
Fantastic. And whereabouts in the world are you?
Not too far from Bath.
Oh, great, great.
Yeah, nice
An
part of
old
the world.
stomping ground of mine. I'm in New Zealand right now, but I remember Bath very well.
Ah, lovely, lovely. Well, you're coming back over here because you are heading out on tour in May,
That's,
performing one of your records in full. I bet you can't wait to be touring once again.
well, it's great fun, isn't it? And yes, I'm absolutely looking forward to it, especially these shows because it is something special doing a whole album. We've only done it once before, actually, kind of tested it out last year, and it was just such great fun.
Yeah, nice.
And
And
I suppose fans of a band can also be fans of a particular record as well, can't they?
mm,
And so they look forward to hearing those tracks that and songs that always get left off the usual performances, you know.
yeah, absolutely. When bands have done this in the past, there's normally tracks on the record that they've never performed live. Is that the case for you as well?
It is, yeah. I mean, a couple just got left in the dust for some reason, and it was kind of quite good for me to rediscover them and go, hey, yeah, why did we neglect that one?
Mm,
And sometimes also, it's just great to be playing something new that was old, from the old days. Because it takes you back, it takes you back to what you were thinking, what you were doing, the ideas that you had, the
mm.
people you're hanging out with.
Yeah, absolutely. And how's the set list coming along? Because you're doing some classics as well. So how are you planning your evening?
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll do the whole of the Into the Gap album, but lots of other hits as well. And well, I'm not going to give it all away. There'll be some surprises, no doubt. But it'll be a lot of recognizable stuff for sure.
Yeah, nice. And a few years ago, I think it's about 6 years ago now, you released a solo record. Do we get to hear any of those as well?
Maybe, yeah. There's only a certain amount of time allowed on stage, and you have to cram it all in. And if we're doing the Into the Gap album, that's going to take a lot of it. But yeah, I think I'll try and fit in a song from the latest album as well.
Yeah, great stuff. How's writing coming on for a potential second solo record for you?
Well, I mean, the world has changed so much, hasn't it, in terms of putting out albums and things.
Mm,
Um, it's very, very different. Do you remember the time when we bought albums and would rush home and listen to the whole thing? Now people, of course, are streaming individual tracks and they're kind of cherry picking this, that, and the
mm.
other. So it changes the way that musicians think about putting out albums, I'm sure. But as it happens, just 5 minutes ago, before I started speaking to you, I was writing a song. So there you go.
Nice, nice. Do you know your plans going forward with releasing, or is it just gonna happen when it happens?
Well, I've committed to not releasing anything new this year
Mm,
because of the 40th anniversary of Into the Gap, and that I'm told, kind of unofficially, that there's going to be a remastering, re-release of that later in the year, from the record company. So it's silly for me to put out two albums at the same time.
yeah, absolutely. And this year is going to be busy because not only are you playing here in the UK, but you've got a nice busy summer in the US as well.
That's right. A long tour in America, and that's going to be an interesting time to be traveling around, especially the lesser known places of America, because I'll get a good taste of what's going on in the election year, and it's
Mm.
all pretty crazy out there. But it'll be great fun to meet those old fans from the 80s as well.
Yeah, most definitely. And are you hoping to be playing elsewhere as well? You're in New Zealand at the moment. Are you hoping to do stuff there in Australia and maybe into Europe as well?
Um, Maybe Europe. I've recently played in Australia, and I at the moment have no plans to play in New Zealand because I kind of live here half the year, so I kind of keep it as a non-work space. But hey, you never know. Never say no.
Yeah, great stuff. I'd like to go back in time now to when you guys got together with the Thompson twins. I think I've only just mentioned that. Did you realize at the time when you were just starting out how big and how well known the band and the music was going to be?
No, of course not. I mean, we were doing it passionately, but it was done for fun and enjoyment and creativity. We had no idea of a career, you know. It was just maybe we had a bit of a, fingers crossed behind our backs. And certainly, even once we were successful and we started making this Into the Gap album, we had no idea whatsoever that in 40 years' time I'd be playing it. I mean, that's just you don't think that way, I guess, when you're making records.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And what made you continue on the Thompson twins legacy under your own guys and doing things yourself?
Well, I left it alone completely for 27 years,
Yeah, yeah.
which is not what most people do. But I was, I kind of retired from pop music and got into other aspects of music, things that were labors of love for me, Indian music and electronic music and so on. And I thought I'd left it all behind, the pop music, the mainstream pop music scene. And then one day someone said, "Hey, will you play on this pop record?" And I said, "Yeah." And then almost the next day someone said, "Will you come on tour?" And it just felt like it was time to get back into it again.
Yeah.
And then I realized in a way that I'd been foolish to leave it so long because it's great fun and it means something to me creatively that's different from all other forms of music. So I really
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, for sure. And what's it like performing as yourself doing the songs of the Thompson twins rather than being with the other guys that you did it originally with?
Well, I mean, I've been through several incarnations
Mm,
of the Thompson twins, even before the two, before Joe and Alana joined. There were other people that worked in the Thompson twins. So I've got a long history of changes. But it's interesting that you ask what it's like to play those songs because it's the songs that do half the work for you, right? And we're really lucky to have had a few hits and a kind of golden era where we were writing very strongly and we were writing things that people wanted to listen to, and they're memorable things, So even for me, I can stand back from that. I mean, I do feel like there's a question of, owning it emotionally,
mm.
but also I'm just enjoying it in a nostalgic way as well. It takes me back as well as connecting me with an audience in the present. So it's a weird thing. And as I touched on before, when you dig up these old things and revisit them, it's a bit like reading an old diary or something.
Mm.
It really conjures up feelings and emotions that you thought you'd left a long way behind.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. And as you've been around in the industry now for many years, I like to ask if there's a person now just getting into the music world and wanting to do what you've done, what one piece of advice could and would you give them?
Well, I think it's super tough now because, as we mentioned earlier, the music industry's changed so much. It's very, very hard for new artists to put food on the table because people people have changed the way that they consume music, and
Mm,
even to see it as a consumer product is a problem. So my only advice is this, when you get kind of swamped in the problems of marketing and second guessing your audience, just forget all that and go back to being an artist. Say what you want to say, have fun doing it as well, experimentally. And that usually is the thing that makes all the other problems solve themselves.
mm. Yeah, definitely.
So
Tom, yeah. Tom, it's been a pleasure having a chat with you.
great pleasure and looking forward to seeing it down in the West Country.